Thank you for watching. Welcome to another interview that we're doing for the Washington County Democrats. I'm Lisa Stiller, and today we're interviewing Maureen Wolf, who is running for Tigard City Council. Maureen, would you give us a little bit about why you're running and some of the things you hope to accomplish?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa, for this opportunity. I really appreciate to share my perspective. This is my second time for running for City Council. 2 years ago, I ran in the vacancy created when Councilor Mayor Lube ran for mayor, which, of course, now she is. And I had served 12 years on the Tigard-Tualatin School Board and really was passionate about creating space for candidates that really reflected our students. Children need to see themselves in our leaders. And so really appreciated and enjoyed those opportunities, but no longer ran for the board. And 2 years ago, there was quite a bit of transition on council. 3 of the 4 seats were open. So community leaders and friends encouraged me to run because of my public governance experience. So I jumped in knowing very little about cities and have just really worked hard to kind of strengthen my muscle, if you will, about city works, and have just found it to be tremendously important, and have really enjoyed that opportunity to once again serve my community. So it's been a fast 2 years, so here I am again running for 2024, and this is a 4-year seat.
Well, thank you for being here. Housing and homelessness, you've expressed that as one of your main priorities. Is a priority for you in the city, and it has been for communities across the country, the state, all over. And Jake Schlack, who's also running for City Council, told Tigard Life that 26% of Tigard residents find affordable housing good or excellent, and 28% of renters spending 50% or more of their income on housing, which is a lot. Yep. You stated in your interview with Tigard Life that Tigard was a leader in affordable housing strategies before state laws changed the way affordable housing is handled. Can you talk about those strategies that were in the past, and also how you plan to further work to secure affordable housing for Tigard residents?
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for the question. And again, jumping back 2 years ago when I ran, I really started to research what are the key issues facing Tigard and what are their top priorities. And of course, affordable housing was right there. And as I continued to read and learn about what the city had already done, they were really a leader in zoning to create those opportunities for middle housing. So what does middle housing mean? It means that maybe your lot size is smaller. So you have a smaller single detached home. Maybe that's duplexes, triplexes, cottage clusters where you maybe have multiple smaller homes with kind of a gathering garden space in between. And then also, if you have a larger lot, you might want to build an accessory dwelling unit or an ADU, which creates an added space on your own property. And so the city staff has really taken that leadership, and it aligns with their goals on climate as well, to really try to reduce that footprint. And so I think, they started down that path, and now fast forward to now. An example that we'll probably chat about more in one of your later questions is River Terrace 2.0. So that is just in development. That got a lot of attention because it was the metro land swap with Clackamas County, and that goal really is an idea of bringing in 500 acres with a goal of 4,500 homes on a much smaller lot size, and I think the average is almost 20 units per acre, which then will be mixed with commercial development and very walkable and bikeable. So it really creates a community that is densely populated but provides those services all within the community that's needed.
Do we have any of those examples that have taken place in Tigard already?
That's a great question, and I know that permits have been started in the process of cottage clusters, and it can be a mixed blessing for sure. If you're in an older neighborhood and you might have half-acre lots or my home is 26 years old. Lots were sized differently decades ago, and all of a sudden that shift is a lot of housing in one space. So it's also created a lot of community conversation conversation on how you do that thoughtfully. And then I think that also then adds to safe streets. And where can we include and add sidewalks? So if we're adding to density, we're also ensuring that safety is a priority as well.
We talk about affordable housing. We also talk about bringing in apartment complexes and smaller housing developments. Are we bringing more of those into Tigard?
Well, River Terrace, the initial one is definitely denser housing. The Tigard Triangle has had a lot of development, and that is the Tigard Triangle, for those unfamiliar, is that literally a triangle between I-5, 217, and 99, and that's a tax increment financing area, and there's been a lot of development or continued development in that area as well, and then also looking at older existing lots and redeveloping those.
Any other plan that you just discussed, like a lot of strategies? Any other strategies? And also, what are the challenges you're facing? Are you getting any pushback from city residents?
And that's an example of, to answer the question, yes. And that goes back to kind of what I shared is some of the cottage cluster developments when, I think that most homeowners now, when they come in and see large lots, expect development. And the question is always the degree of development. And is it going to be, 4 homes, 6 homes, 10 homes, and then some of the cottage clusters could be 20. And then again, that speaks to our streets aren't designed for that kind of traffic because that might be parking on the streets. So it's been a lot of conversations with community members on how you do that thoughtfully, but I also think it's a really important balance for now. It's not only Tigard, it is the state, it's across the country that we are in deep need of affordable housing. So trying to create those strategies to do that well, but also follow state law at this point.
Can you change the topic a little bit for now? You helped get the Tigard Public Safety Levy passed, which is wonderful. And I know public safety is also a big priority for you. How do you plan to further address balancing the needs of the homeless, businesses, and residents with compassion, while also addressing their safety and security concerns?
So the public safety levy did pass with an overwhelming, almost 80% approval. I think it was 78% approval. And part of that levy pays for a 40-hour intensive training in crisis intervention and de-escalation for our officers, as well as adding officers to our staffing in our city. So there's a lot of important components to that help support that balance. And I will do a shout out to Chief McDonald. He leads, and his message is we lead with care, compassion, and dignity for all those that are living in our community that are unhoused. And as an example of that, I did a ride-along with one of our officers who is dedicated downtown, who really serves as that navigator liaison between our community, our business community, and those who are camping in our areas. And when he connected, he knew all those that were camping by name. He asked them how they were doing that day, and then he connected with them and then reminded them about our time, place, and manner ordinance, which, as a reminder, that was also a requirement by the state that cities adopt a time, place, and manner ordinance. And I would say for the city of Tigard, when council adopted that, we really have one of the most generous, if you will, time frames so that those needing to camp can set up their camps at 7 p.m. and then need to start that process by 9 a.m., breaking down their facilities, really trying to provide resources to assist them. And then on top of that, I'd like to point out some of the pieces that the city has done in terms of resources. So I talked about the officer that really goes around. We have doubled that staffing so that there are 2 of those so that there's a longer, more consistent presence. On top of that, we set aside some of our dollars through the COVID impact through ARPA as pandemic relief funds. We've set up a funding position, at the library as a connector. So if you're in the community or if you're someone looking for social services, that person asks as a resource component to help with conflict resolution or addressing those needs. We also facilitate, there's a regional position for Tigard, Tualatin, and Sherwood that is a liaison that sits within our staff to support those who are unsheltered. And then on top of that, we received a $300,000 grant from the federal government to, again, assist community service officer, so to navigate these pieces and really help all those needing services or have concerns get connected and get resolutions.
So what, I'm jumping into another question, what resources do you have for people who are on the streets to get immediate housing and then work their way into sustainable? Is there places they can go overnight?
Sure. Just Compassion is a day center that is very close to our city services in downtown Tigard. They are expanding currently. Hopefully in 2025 they will open 60 beds as an emergency shelter. We also have Family Promise that is listed or located in Tigard on 99. That is dedicated to families in need. And then we also have the Good Neighbor Center and some smaller facilities that offer services. Now I will say many people are familiar with now the regional approach. So we get our resources through supporting housing services, and that works as a regional component. So while we have resources in Tigard, they serve the Washington County community. And we also are opening safe lot programs. So individuals who have cars are put to a program that are committed to finding permanent housing, and we have a facility set up at City Hall where that is a safe place for them to stay and to have some resources like hygiene facilities and stuff.
I know public safety, encompasses a lot of things. So is there any other public safety concerns you want to address?
I don't think I have anything at this point to add. I know that navigating the needs of community members, businesses, and I think the other piece that I will add is emergency services around mental health and supports. That is huge. So for example, when Measure 110 was reformed, and we now have, I think, House Bill 4002, again, Chief McDonald was very active in the design for Washington County. So we are partnering with local organizations to, if someone is found in possession, that we direct them to services within our area. But then we're also really looking forward to the Center for Triage and Treatment that will open in Washington County to also provide additional beds and services for those needing mental health and supports.
Thank you. Jumping topics a little bit. Balancing land use, the need for more affordable housing, and sustainability is a challenge. You want to keep your green spaces in your parks. Now, parks are important to you.
Yep.
As more affordable housing is built and as Tigard continues to attract more businesses, how do you plan on balancing those? I know you talked about that a little bit, but how do you plan on balancing the needs of everyone so that Tigard is livable, we have business, but we can expand our housing?
It's interesting. I'm a farm girl from Indiana, and so I grew up with soil, dirt all around me, but I value our natural resources that you don't ever get back the way they were originally found if you develop. So setting aside money and investing in parks, I think, is a critical priority that is not just me. I think it's a true value of the city and of the council. So for example, we're currently working on a couple new parks, especially in underserved communities that don't have easy access. So two parks, Bagan Park, and then it's now, I think, temporarily called Steve Street Park, as we're developing those to ensure that we have set aside thoughtful space where people can go and play and enjoy nature. And of course, Fennel Creek Trail, continue to invest in that and create more and more opportunities for people to walk and bike around the city. And I think an example too where we've advocated for conserving or preserving and having that conservation lens is as we partner and work with the county. For example, where River Terrace 2.0 there was some and continues to be some planning about roads, as there has to be as we continue to develop. But how are you placing that? What impact is it to to some areas that really should be preserved and set aside. And so we ourselves are doing that balance of advocating for natural resources to be protected as well as develop. And it's a tough dance.
So 2 quick follow-up questions, very, very quick. The urban growth boundary is a very controversial topic in moving it. So just quickly how you feel about that. And then also quickly bringing, I know ODOT has to be involved in this, but bringing some more transportation options, bus routes, et cetera, into Tigard.
Yeah. So what I thought was interesting is I read the report on availability or supply in the metro area to expand the urban growth boundary. And I was surprised when I read the report that was end of August, September, I think, that they felt that we had the land we needed except for an amount that matched roughly the Sherwood request to expand their urban growth boundary. So what I hope that's telling me is we're starting to be really thoughtful about how we develop and build and be mindful of how we expand and continue to take our resources. So I was pleased to see maybe, because I agree, and again, that goes back to my home of being raised in the farm and just really valuing the agricultural lands that we live near. And Lisa, I apologize, second question was...
Transportation.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Transportation.
Transportation. So our biggest issue, I totally agree, that even like River Terrace, I mean, we're really starting to stretch out as we build out towards Roy Rogers and Cooper Mountain. So I think that's an advocacy of getting better routes, and then further development in Tigard, and I know the Southwest Corridor is becoming a high priority to get better transit lines, and so I think those have to be addressed. And then as well as, if you're within the city, our big advocacy is getting jurisdictional transfer of Hall Boulevard so that it comes to us in good repair, but then we can expand walking space, bike space, and make some of these high traffic areas safe for our community.
In your role as a member of the Budget Committee for Social Services, how are you ensuring the city budget meets the social service needs of the community, and maybe meeting some challenges to that budget?
It is a challenge, and I don't know that we will ever have the money that's needed to fully support all the amazing organizations in our community. So, for example, I was on that subcommittee for social services grants, and this year I think we had double the applications, triple the financial requests. The city of Tigard sets aside roughly a little over $200,000, or $50,000 of that is marijuana tax that's applied to social services grants, and we just had wonderful and important applications, whether that's for senior services, Meals on Wheels, supporting backpacks for families and children in need, serving family justice, domestic violence, and so we also had additional requests for rent assistance. So what we really try to do is redirect for those that are interested in the rent assistance, the model that we work through with Washington County with, again, supportive housing services, and then really try to, how do we focus on some of those local high impact, lower dollar programs. And so the grants can range from $2,000 to $25,000, but it's I feel that the city of Tigard does a great job of offering up those resources, but the work will never be done, and the dollars will never be enough.
There's never enough.
There's never enough. There's never enough.
How do you plan to further encourage community engagement and involvement, for example, with housing, public safety, small business groups, city budget? What are your plans for getting citizens involved in discussions?
Yeah, what's really interesting, and in particular about social services grants, is we are looking at, is there a way to use participative budget process? So let's bring in more community members. What are the priority social services that we provide? And then the city itself, we are currently working with consultants to understand kind of, is there a communication engagement gap? Are we doing everything that we can to connect with all our community members? For example, I volunteered at El Tigre last Saturday at the city booth, and alongside us was our consultants stopping to talk to people. How do you best communicate with the city? And then they're going and creating focus groups as well. Tell us about your experience. Tell us what you would like to see Tigard in the future that really is fully engaging with all community members. So I think we're on that path, and I'm excited about the investments we're making to learn.
So more individually, what are you doing to go out into the community and speak to people, and how do you plan to do that differently or the same thing as in your next term?
Well, I volunteer a lot. I really try to, local positions are interesting. I think that you not only serve in setting policy and strategy, you should be an ambassador for your community. So I spend a lot of time out in the community. I don't know if it's my big red curly hair or just that I've been present for many years, but I think that people recognize me and appreciate that I really try to attend events, listen to people, and if people want to have a coffee or go for a walk, that I will sit down with them, and they may not agree with me, but it's important you sit down and you talk.
Well, thank you so much. It was very interesting, and if you have anything to wrap up with, maybe one or two sentences about why you want people to vote for you and what the major things you want to accomplish.
So again, thank you for this opportunity to have a conversation about what matters to me in the city of Tigard. I'm a 26-year resident. I raised my family here, both Tigard High graduates, and I care deeply about our community. I love serving at a local level. The issues that face all of us are important, and I am committed to be present, to listen to your concerns, and my priorities going forward are really anchored around the city's current goals around reducing houselessness, affordable homes, climate action steps. The city's really focused inward on what can we do to walk that talk and do a better job around climate positive directions such as electric vehicles. We also care a lot about our safe streets and safe routes to schools and making the city truly a walkable and accessible community with parks and all those things that are important for a thriving space. So thank you, and I hope that I get your vote in November. Thanks.
Thank you for watching. This is Lisa Stiller, and I'm just talking to Maureen Wolf, running for City Council for the Washington County Democrats, and please remember to go vote.